I remember shooting baskets with the transistor radio on the cement, listening to the WSU men's college games. And I just wanted to be able to do that too. And I would shoot and I would dribble and I would ask myself, why can't I do this too? And I know that drove me in some ways, but it just didn't seem fair that they could keep us from playing sports. I think in the early 70s, it was still that women weren't looked at as equals in jobs, in what you could wear, in every aspect of our society. It was better than it was in the 50s, for sure. But when I say that the culture wasn't ripe for girls to play sports, I think it was that girls weren't allowed to do other things as well, so why should sports be the avenue that they got to play? You know, we were supposed to be learning how to cook and how to sew, and all those things were fine, but it was limiting. I wanted to play basketball so bad that I was willing to do almost anything. So one thing I did was write letters to every principal in the league and I wish I had a copy of that letter. I'm pretty sure I tried to make reasoned explanations about why girls should be allowed to do it. I'm sure I also added how passionate I was about it. But what I remember most was that my principal got wind that I had sent these letters and he called me into the office and he was really upset with me. And I certainly didn't mean to go behind his back, but I just didn't think about what order to do things in. So he was pretty upset, but the next year the school superintendent became our basketball coach and we had basketball.
Very few schools had girls' athletics, especially the bigger schools. I think you get along the Oklahoma-Kansas line, a lot of the smaller schools had girls' athletics. Some of it was a 3-on-3. Are you familiar with that? Well, it's half-court stuff. And so, but some of the smaller schools south of us had some girls' athletics, a little bit of track. The spring of '72, we had started tennis and track. I was a track coach, and then in the fall of '72, some mothers wanted basketball started because their daughters had played some junior high ball around. And so they pushed that in, and we had a meeting down in the old gym, and 113 girls showed up. And we told them what it was going to be like. 33 showed up for the first practice. And so we practiced 8 days and had our first basketball game. Had to come, if we wanted to practice in this gym, we had to come in, get here at 6 in the morning and do our practice, which the girls were all willing to do because it was new. It was a lot better than practicing down in the grade school, that small gym, but we did what we had to do to get it done, and nobody complained. I coached them just like I did the boys. I didn't, I told them I was going to do that, and they were willing. I mean, they were so eager. So it worked out well, and then eventually the tide started to turn a little bit. Women's sports, you know, they were kind of being forced a little bit to do the right thing and let us do a few more things. So
we got bused to the country schools for practice. I remember practicing in what is now the auditorium. That was an old gym, and it wasn't the right size. But I am sure I didn't care. I'm sure I woke up whatever time necessary, excited that it was a day for practice. Our uniforms were this weird polyester orange. But again, it just didn't really matter. But I just know that I was so excited to be on the court playing. Back then, we didn't know we were pioneers or the front runners, but when I look back, we didn't think about that. We just were so happy to be able to play.
So, you know, honestly, I tell people that I was a lucky one because I started middle school in 1974, and Title IX had just passed, and so luckily, I mean, I was one of those that never knew anything other than we had girls' sports, because in 1974, Clay Center Middle School had a middle school basketball team, and I got to play on the basketball team and the volleyball team. You know, girls ran very structured offenses. There was no, you know, screen and roll or read the defense or, you know, none of that stuff happened. The skill level wasn't very good. We were using a boys' basketball because that hadn't changed yet. So, you know, it was a little bit harder for people to shoot very far out. Most of the offenses revolved around a post, being able to get the ball inside, or hope that one of your guards shot it and missed it and somebody could get a rebound. There was no three-point line at that time, so you know, it was a much different game when I was playing than you see today.
So I have been playing basketball since I was probably 6 years old. Probably before that, just out in the yard or out in the front driveway with my brothers, just playing. And I think my first club team, I guess, was fun ball sports. So that was super fun. That was before I had enough hair for my hair to go in a ponytail, and my mom put bows in my hair for basketball. So I feel like I've come a long way since then. But that was back when I could hardly dribble and just learning like the fundamentals of the game of basketball and just being around friends. I just hope that it just keeps developing like it has over the last 50 years. I mean, that would be crazy to think about, like how far we've come in the last 50 years. Like if we were to even come further than that in the next 50, I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit. I think this year specifically, women's sports has grown more than like it ever has. I mean, you got your star basketball players now. You got Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers. Like you have people that people are knowing about and talking about. And so I think that in and of itself is super cool. Within the last 5 years, I think that like women's sports has come so far, and people like watching it. I think that also is because the game itself has stepped up. I think that like they're better athletes and like more competitive, and people genuinely like watching it.
One of the things that we did when we celebrated the 50th is, you know, traditionally it was always the girls' game and then the boys' game, and the boys' game was always the last game. And you'll notice that we've switched that now for our state tournaments and our postseason tournaments, is that, you know, on even years, the even girls play first. So like this year, it's an even year, so the 1A, 3A, 5A girls all played the second games or the last days. To just so that we can showcase them both.
girls are getting bigger, they're getting stronger, faster, better. So it's a better game. The women's college game is one of the better basketball games going now.
And I imagine that the talent level will just continue to improve. To watch some of these college, especially these college kids like Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins from USC, just to watch their form. It's improved so much over the years. They really know what they're doing now.
My grandma has like a group that she does a Bible study with, and it's just cool to see like her think of me as such like oh, like you're such a hero, like this is so cool that you have the opportunity not only to like play sports but to like go to college like right out of high school and like follow your passions and your dreams. And she was like, because I didn't really get to do that. And so that's, I don't know. And I think that it's so common now that like you forget that not that long ago, I mean like two generations removed, like that wasn't always like the common thing. So I think that just like, I just feel so lucky to be in the generation that I'm in and just have the opportunity to play the sport that I love and like get a degree from a great university. And I just think that I've just overwhelmingly blessed that. And it's cool to see other people put it in perspective a little bit. So I like talking to like the older generations and kind of hear, and of course like I blow it off, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, but it is really like, it is crazy how far that like women's sports have come and women in general, so.